Metroid Zero Mission was released back in 2004 for the Game Boy Advance as a pixel remake for the original Metroid game on the Nintendo Entertainment System back in 1986. The game features astounding pixel graphics ranging from the foreign intimidating boss design to memorable environment and set pieces sprinkled around the planet that still holds up in today's standard. True to being a remake, Zero Mission vastly improved on every aspect of the original and even added extra features and gameplay into the game, but the review is about Zero Mission as a game by itself, so the game would not be judged based on the comparison to the original counterpart, but rather on its own merit and how well crafted the game is. Because let's face it, if we compare it to the original, this will be a 10 out of 10 easily. Discounting the game intro scene, at the start of the new file, you are given very little to no context with the story. All you see Samus is landing her ship on a planet before cutting away to a monologue where she calls this planet, Planet Zebes, being her home world and how this is her first mission, the Zero Mission. Samus in this game feels amazing to control. Her movements are very quick and snappy, and the gravity in the game feels just right. At no point should you feel frustrated about the controls of Samus, unless you're doing the dreaded Shine Spark puzzles, but that's a different can of worms altogether, so we'll talk about that on another day. But yeah, at no point does Samus feels hard to control, and any platforming error is likely attributed to you who made the mistake in the jump distance. You start in a mysterious hallway that allows the player to move left or right, and while it may be common sense now to check both sides, in conventional platformers, it's always been moving left to right, so more traditional platform players will be inclined to move right straight away, which may prove to be a little mistake, just a tiny little one, because in 2 rooms away, you are already met with an obstacle where you cannot get through unless you crawl. With zero way forward, this forces the player to backtrack, and to move left at the starting point instead, to find the essential upgrade, the Morph Ball. This design teaches the player at the start that there is always a way forward, and if you don't find your way, you simply need to look harder. Obtaining the Morph Ball now allows Samus to turn herself into a ball to move through tight spaces, providing her a new movement that makes her exploring and traversal just a little bit easier. Now going back to the area where you couldn't get through before, now with the Morph Ball upgrade, you'll quickly find an intimidating looking statue with its hands stretched out. It may look evil, but landing on its palm with the Morph Ball form recovers Samus' health and arsenal, teaching the player that these bird statues belonging to the bird people. The Chozos are not malicious, but are here to aid Samus. The map then further opens up in a vertical hallway, presenting the player an option to go anywhere they want, however they want. This is the birth of the genre, Metroidvania. Or at least the original 1986 game did back in the NES days, but this is the faithful remake with a lot of bonuses and a lot of quality of life additions added. It may look intimidating to a lot of new players to knowing where to start, but if played the conventional way without sequence breaking or glitching, players will soon realize that the game more often than not have an invisible guiding hand to push them forward towards the right direction, so that they don't look endlessly in the wrong area. This all made easier for new players with an in-game map, and with a map marker placed around the world by meeting the friendly Chozo bird statues. Once the player finds their way to the missile, a very trusty ammo that pack a hell of a punch and also helps with more world exploration, the player will then be greeted by a giant centipede mini-boss. The mini-boss have only one weak point, being the giant eyeball at their head. Can only be hurt at certain times and cannot be harmed unless the missile is used. This boss is already teaching the players the fundamentals in a boss battle for the game, serving as an excellent tutorial boss. Defeating the giant centipede, otherwise known as their charged beam beast, is completely optional, but if you do opt to defeat it, you'll get an upgrade. And just hear me out for a second, because it may sound unbelievable, but what the boss drops is the charge beam, an optional upgrade that allows Samus to hold down her fire button to fire a stronger blast. There are 2 types of upgrade in the game, unique power-ups and additional resource power-ups. The former is almost all compulsory to acquire, so the game doesn't hide them, and once acquired, it allows you to traverse the planet faster and easier than ever with the upgrades you have. While the latter makes dealing with enemies and bosses easier the more resource you collect, the resource upgrades are hidden throughout the map, in tiny nooks and crannies, encouraging the player to look into every corner to find an upgrade. But while it is fun to find an upgrade, it is not fun to shoot or bomb every pixel just to find for said upgrade. Thankfully, the game got you covered with the map. Rooms that have an upgrade will be marked with a big circle, whilst rooms with an upgrade that is already collected will have a dot instead. This doesn't cover hidden areas which will be green instead of blue on the map however, but it's for this reason that finding hidden areas all the more rewarding once you do find them. As you explore further, the player is more often than not treated to a cutscene. I use the word cutscene very loosely because instead of moving cutscenes, it's more of a static image with very limited movement. Almost reminds me of a Microsoft PowerPoint presentation. But to give it some slack, it is a game on the Nintendo Game Boy Advance, so asking for a full-featured cutscene is highly unreasonable. These cutscenes more often than not are treated to the player upon entering the next sector of the map, providing a glimpse of the next boss to come or the danger that awaits. It's through these little scenes that the player can gather a story of what is going on in the game. The game isn't heavily narrative driven, so a lot of it requires the player to piece the puzzles together or to do their own research, which is what my channel is for. While the game is certainly a step up to its predecessor from 1986, it still holds the archaic storytelling that is full of cryptic clues and missing holes for players to fill. Thank goodness the plot isn't convoluted for this game. But moving on, you also find many enemies, many bosses even, and this is where some of the 1986 game design seem to rear its ugly head. While some bosses require a bit of strategy to defeat, such as exposing its weak point or patiently waiting for the right moment, most bosses feel like you are just shooting endless missiles at the boss until it explodes. This especially holds true when you're fighting the second most iconic character from Metroid, Ridley, and to a small extent, Mother Brain. Versing these two feels like it's a war of attrition, and it's a matter of what runs out first. You running out of your health bar, or you running out of your missile reserve first. The bosses at no point ever feels rewarding to fight, or to beat, and this is likely linked to how the boss fights are designed. Very monotonous, giant punching bags essentially. It is a bit of a disappointment when the bosses are so unique and cool in design. The saving grace at least is that they feature some banger boss battle music. Listen to this one. Speaking of music, for those familiar with the Metroid franchise, the game features returning familiar music that is dynamic but also complements the area that they are featured in, blending the player into the world, creating an immersive experience that makes the player don't want to drop the controller or your Game Boy if you're old school, due to how good the music is, except for the time when you fight Mother Brain, the fake final boss of the game who is designed to be as annoying as possible. Mother Brain's fight is slightly different to the original one. While the original is just shooting rinkers and little lasers at you, with this one, Mother Brain herself can actually attack you as well. But having said that, it's not a good thing, because the rinkers and the lasers are still flying at you, and now you gotta deal with Mother Brain who is attacking you as well, so the fight just became even more tedious. But once you defeat Mother Brain, the series staple of escaping the planet countdown sequence activate, providing a thrilling moment of running back to your spaceship before the planet blows up. But I didn't call Mother Brain a fake final boss for nothing, because upon a successful escape, Samus' gunship gets shot down by the space pirate, which have shaken Samus up so badly that she is unable to use her power suit. Now you must explore the Chozo ruins with nothing but a paralyzer pistol. All of your upgrades are gone, and so is your suit. This provides a fun new playstyle to the traditional Metroid gameplay. Now, Samus feels truly helpless while exploring the old Chozo ruins, known as Chozodia, a whole new section added in this remake of the game. The ruins are filled with space pirates that can easily kill her in the high difficulty settings, and the ruins are filled with enemies and traps. But the reverse is also true, that it's filled with hiding places for Samus to take a breather. The player is given two options to play: rush in and get chased until either you find your objective or you die. The other is to stealthily sneak through while avoiding the watchful eyes of the pirates. It is a really exhilarating experience that did not overstay its welcome. It's fun, but it's short, and only appears at one part of the game. Upon completing the segment and obtaining your final essential power-up, you obtain your fully powered suit, which features the iconic Samus look we all know and love, with the bulky round shoulder pads. Another bonus is all the unknown artifacts collected before now revealed itself to be insanely powerful moves that truly makes you feel like a god among the ants. But with the new suit comes the farewell of the Zero Suit Samus suit, which means it's a goodbye to this segment, making it all the more bittersweet. Upon successfully escaping, you are met with the final true boss. This is Metroid. His battle has been tuned up. Now he requires a little more strategy, not that much further improvement, but still nonetheless a bit more improvement. And upon defeating him, another escape sequence activates, and this time, once you do escape, the game is truly over. And depending on how fast you complete the game, you'll get a different ending. Zero Mission is a very beginner friendly game, but also an advanced game for those who wants to master the game. It is a great entry point for anyone who is looking to have a taste of the Metroidvania genre, and it is also a great game for speedrunning. I would easily recommend this game for anyone to play.